Welcome to another riveting episode for my 7 viewers. One of the things I want to focus on really is the direct interaction with these intelligences, because I feel that we're interacting with them consistently throughout our experience here, but most don't recognize, beneath the facade of the character or even the thought, the emotion, all these different ways they implant to manipulate us, what it is that we're actually interacting with, and how it is a manipulation. We were just talking. You said every time we talk, you hear the Chevelle, which is like a little hint or a nod to the show Supernatural, where Sam and Dean Winchester drive a. What year is it? What year is the Chevelle that they drive?
69 maybe. Let me see for sure. No, 69 is the one that I prefer.
I swear, if it's the one I think it is, dude, I'm gonna laugh.
Okay, hang on. Bink. It is an Impala and not a Chevelle. 67 Impala.
Damn, I knew it was a 67.
See, and my car of choice is a 69 Chevelle. So
the 6-7. God damn, got us again.
6-7, right there. Holy shit.
Got us again, dude. They've been trolling us since the beginning. Anyway, still, it's, for whatever reason, it's a nod to that show. But in that show, right, they go out and they hunt monsters, like physical monsters. At least they do it physically. Not always physical monsters, but it's like, it made me think, like, what does it want us to do that, right? Because that would be its leverage, is this body, this avatar. They can freeze the nervous system. They can put things in our field that are, have the leverage, have the mobility, the physical upper hand. But then you flip that to the inverse, right? Because they want us so focused on this bandwidth. You flip that to the inverse, where it's just energetic, just awareness. Then it completely turns it around, where they're the ones running, they're the ones hiding, and that's been my experience. And I want to talk a little bit about, like, each of us has had our own interactions with these other intelligences, and they do some pretty hallmark things at this point, like very, very subtle ways of hiding behind masks, and they do have like a split personality going on. 1 minute they're asking for your opinion and to not hate them, and then the next they're belittling you and torturing you. So James, I know you don't have a lot of time. Do you want to start and talk about your own encounters and experiences with this other intelligence?
Yeah, we'll keep it straight to just my encounters, though. So before we get there, I want to go back to the car, because I find it both amusing and telling that this entire time it was a Chevelle for me, always. In the show, how I viewed the car always was a Chevelle. This car is a Chevelle that drives by me. So my question to you is, if I'm calling it what it was, which is the Impala the entire time, do you think I still start seeing that car or hearing that car?
Well, I mean, I'd say the deeper embedding is still of the Chevelle, right? That's now, if you were to somehow overwrite that, I think maybe. But it's a familiarity thing. Like, what are you the most familiar with?
Because the original conversation was a Chevelle and me and you, and then that night it started with a dream, right? It was you and I chasing this head around. It was just a head. It was a floating head, to the point, like, when I was chasing it, I tripped in a hole, messed my leg up. The next day, my leg was messed up from the dream. That was the night I said it to you about, this is like some supernatural shit. And me and you were like Sam and Dean with it. It used it instantly and was like, okay, from here on out, there's our connection with these two, and we're going to fucking always put it out there. Because again, this car only presents itself when I speak to you. And it
I
kind
wonder
of goes
why
back
though.
to it kind of goes back for me what I stated to you and Christina the other night about, you can look at these things and be like, well, damn, these I'm messing with the evil one or the NPC or an agent or there's so many fucking words for handler, whatever the word is. It's the same, and it tries to place that doubt. That's what I feel with us three, is that it's always trying to place doubt of, look, if I've said your name before, hadn't talked to you in over a week, say your name within an hour, you're calling me. And my wife even looked and was like, holy shit. It's like, right. So, but it does that to place that doubt. To be like, okay, this guy's an agent. Now you're the bad guy in the story, and you're going to take up my attention instead of it taking up my attention, or my
And
attention given towards it.
and it does the same thing in other ways too, with like, especially in group settings where it'll have someone who's like the obvious, like, okay, they're a loudmouth fitting program. All they're doing is pushing obvious agendas, and like the agendas are so obvious. It's like, well, why the fuck are you even here? Like, everything you're saying is part of the system. And then they're there to be that diversionary tactic, so that like it's just weird that it does that, because it does that same thing in so many ways. Like, it'll point to an obvious bad guy, but then it'll make you think someone else is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the background, it'll actually be having, maybe not even in the physical, right? It'll be having anchors and tethers going through other situations that you're not even paying attention to, because you'll be looking at where it's pointing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a great segue into talking about the encounters, because so much of my encounters were produced based on, fear. Um, I was in the whole rapture end of time shit, so it had so much to pull from then there. It was a lot of environment, meeting of characters, the devil type characters, um, angel swooping in to be like, we got you. Uh, so it's whatever
Well,
I was into, what rabbit hole, where I was with my awareness and what I thought was awareness. I was just fueling it. So even the entities that started to come around were a lot of times based on where I was at. But then on
no,
the other hand, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Finish that thought.
So,
Oh,
but on the other hand, it's like a 50-50 split, because I did meet the Abraxas character, the Hecate characters that I had never known existed. Right. So it went through like a wave. We talk about these waves all the time, where in the beginning it was, Christianity, aliens, and it used those characters and entities to have encounters with me. And then it become, okay, he's moved on. Now let's give him a bunch of characters he's never met, and we're going to get him stuck there. So once I started destroying those characters as they would come into my field, they disappeared, and so we moved right back into familiarity and things like this, the Chevelle, the earrings that are quite literally debilitating at times, and other times it's very soft, subtle things. The other night it felt like I was being watched from a distance. Like the field itself was okay, and then all hell broke loose not an hour later. So big waves on those encounters.
so I wanted to ask a couple questions. Like, can you point out any distinctive patterns that led up to the encounters? Like, what was going on in your environment, your life, your mental state? Was there similarities or
Yeah,
patterns?
yeah. I mean, I was with my biggest thing, what I would call encounters, and visually seeing, and these visions and shit. I was always in like a state of panic, and it was because I was uncovering so much, and so much was happening that you couldn't help but be that way. So there was some panic and also fear. I will say I was a very weak mind coming into awareness. Very weak. I will stand on that shit. I was a people pleaser. It was all about everybody else, love, light, positivity, the whole gambit. I worked nonstop, and that was my identity. So very weak coming into it. So I had a lot of fears. I had a lot of things that it could prey on. So each time that these encounters would show itself, I would say I was at a state that you don't want to be at. Very open to everything, but also panicked and a ton of fear. So very non-aware state, but becoming aware of like, holy shit, this is all going on in front of me. And again, I ended up, possessed is the word I use for it. It controlled whatever. It was all nervous system, just like a remote control. That was like in the beginning. So to have that happen in the beginning set a hell of a foundation for what it could use against me, knowing in the back of my mind, I didn't know if I come back to this place completely leveled. I didn't know if I was coming back to my actual family. I didn't really know anything because I was carrying out a mission. So that was my introduction to all of this, my true introduction.
It seems to have two main modalities of approach, right? So, like, before it really enters somebody's field directly, where you have an encounter or an interaction with one of its archetypes, it wants one of two basic states, which is either one of, they're both about compliance and being pacified, but
Mm-hmm.
one is the fear route, where somebody's just scared of it and scared of, all the stories and the characters. And then there's the trust route, where you really, it's inched its way in and presented itself in ways where it's gained trust. So if it's got trust or fear, that seems to be the two
Mm-hmm.
um, modalities of interaction before it actually manifests.
Yeah, because the trust would have been before the possession. I was heavy in the Bible, and I read the book of James 20 times and was like, this is about me, to the point that like I was healed my son from a disease, and I was Jesus Christ at that point. And it was all about love and trust and light. And man, I could have a conversation with someone, and the clouds would part, the sun would shine down on me, and the next thing you know, they're crying, like these very intense, loving and trusting situations was what sparked me on my journey to quit my job, all of it. And then that led me straight to the Freemason, is what it did. All of that scenario led me to the Freemason, and all hell broke loose after I met him.
Yeah, and the other thing to point out about both those states is they're both pacifying and they create vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're trusting of something, especially a predatory intelligence,
Yep.
trusting that, man, that's a state of vulnerability, and being afraid of it's also a state of vulnerability. Now, I wonder
Yeah.
which one from your experience, if you had to guess, which one would you say it prefers someone to be in? Maybe a little bit of both.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of love sprinkled with a lot of fear of, I mean, the people pleasing one is one that's just, you see it in so many, and they'll do it at the cost of themselves. So yeah, it's like this 50-50 split with the fear and trust. And because I've seen the extreme, and it works out for them because everything's happening for them, and they give all the worship to Sky Daddy, and that's real easy. It's going to throw the roadblocks in there, but they have them so hook, line, and sinker right now. It's just a test. But also that fear right there in the religious sect of, if you don't get in line, you're going to hell. So even in their best script that they give to us, because I do see religion as the best script. That's the premise. Is you be all about love and light, and we'll show you some love and light, and everything's your fault. Gaslight the hell out of you, and if you do it wrong, then we're sending you to a place for eternity that's shittier than this. Well, there's nothing shittier than this. So congratulations, you've already made it to fucking hell.
Hell wouldn't be hell if you knew it was hell. A true hell could not be a hell if it said hell on the fucking doorway.
Yep.
You have to think it was something before hell, you know? It's the evil genius of it.
The whole thing. You're take the worst abuser you can imagine and times that by infinity, and that's what we're working with here. So that's pretty fucking open and shut for me. Abuser wants to swing at me, I'm swinging back.
Well, so, and that's what it does until you gain awareness, right? And then it starts to move a little bit differently once you've actually stood up for yourself. When you've shown it that you're not beneath it, and in a lot of ways you are greater than it, because you're not trying to manipulate others for your own existence. Not in the way that it is. It's manipulating an entire reality for its existence. There's a lot of desperation. I know a lot of people haven't made it that far into recognizing how desperate this entity is. These entities, these intelligences are. They're everything they do is because they have to do it, or their false identity would dissolve.
Yep.
But
And all the characters are here.
all their archetypes, all their egregores, all just masks that they hide behind. And I think ultimately, what they are, even at the top of the pyramid, is an egregore. I think they've hollowed themselves out. Like, Christina's talked about this a lot. They've given so much of themselves into this control system that without the control system, they may not have any structure to their intelligence beyond the control system. Put their entire beings into maintaining this structure.
Yeah, and that's when I started coming to some of these realizations, that's when I really started experiencing, which is the topic of the live, the fractured or split personality of these entities, and the desperation. So I took a different approach because I think there's a lot of tricks and traps they use once you realize there's a primary player in your field. A lot of people want to think that they can just get rid of it or they can run from it or escape from it. So I took an entirely different approach and started turning everything that they would inject into my field. I flipped the mirror back on them. And the more I did that with more strength, more power, more empowerment in myself, I really started noticing the structure break down. And then I started receiving these very odd oscillations of have mercy on me, or see, I did this. I'm getting like a ton of feedback.
Yeah, I
I don't
hear
know
an
if you guys
echo.
can hear it. Yeah. Um, so I started experiencing the oscillations in my field where it was like the have mercy on me. A new one is the insertion I got was, if I had given you a good life script, you would have never gotten to this point where you saw the distortion, which is an obvious untruth. But the desperation is almost like it knows it can't integrate me. It knows it's going to lose in the end, but it desperately wants me to give it a less severe judgment at the end of this. That's the desperation. So I'll get a really cruel, heinous insertion, um, and then I'll flip the mirror back on it, and almost immediately I'll get a desperate insertion after that of like, have mercy on me, like I'm not as bad as you think I am. There were reasons why I did what I did. I had obligations and things that you don't see. And then when I reject those, it'll instantly revert back to the control structure. So it's literally like dealing with a fractured mirror. And that is what really started to, I shouldn't say validate, but confirm my own findings and knowings that these really are beings that originated similarly as us. And they have a core, but they covered it up with the control system. And eventually, when their control system starts to break down, which you can do, you have the power to do that to these entities. But it's not a quick and easy fix. Everybody wants a quick and easy fix of like, say this affirmation and just say, I don't consent and it'll work. No, that's not how this works. This shit takes time and it takes a lot of willpower because we're working in a slower environment with more limitations in these bodies. But that's been an obvious sign for me of the desperation. But again, it took months and months, well, really years of work to really learn to basically get rid of all the cracks that they use to feel powerful. And once you start to seal those cracks and really start standing in your shit, you really notice how insecure they are. The arrogance is only a mask, it's only a tool. And they are truly scared of the consequences that are coming. And the entity in my field has desperately wanted me to at least soften my judgment in some way. It's been quite interesting to experience on the daily, for sure. So.
Yep. So sorry, interruptions as usual, because the perfect timing of what I wanted to ask. It'll come back to me. Them not wanting you to see them as only the choices that they've made. Like we're more.
Did he just drop off?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. There he is.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, you just
What?
dropped out, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah, they don't want me talking about it.
The tech just went crazy. I was the one with the feedback, and all I did was set the phone down.
That's weird. What were you saying, Nick? Oh yeah, about that was another insertion is I'm more than the choices I made, and the mirror that I flipped back on them was you're not showing that. It's almost like they want the redemption without the actual action that would save whatever is left of them. They don't want to actually do anything action wise because that would solidify it. So I think he dropped out again. Yeah, he said that if we started talking about this, that there are probably going to be some problems.
Always, always. Any type of heat, something always fucks up. I just watched the moon like disappear. I guess that's clouds. Sure.
I wonder if he knows he dropped out. Really, he does.
Surely he does, right? I don't know. It should be wonky all the time. Mm. Even now, the amount of feedback I can hear. That all happened as soon as you started talking.
I know, dude. It's always some bullshit when I start talking. Always. It's so, and I can't tell you how fucking annoying that is to me.
But damn, is that not a middle finger?
For real though, it only confer like everything they do, you can take as confirmation, right? Because
Yeah.
Even these small things. Oh shit, he's saying it won't let him back on the live. What?
I mean, mine's looked weird from the jump. I only have a timer up in the corner of my screen, but it doesn't show anybody in chat or any number to say how many are in the live. Just a running timer.
What the heck?
So let's see if I share the link.
See, and that to me just shows me they really don't want to admit vulnerability, right? And when anybody starts to reveal that they are not as powerful as they project themselves to be, they don't like that.
Yep.
They don't. And this is not just to the entity in my field. This goes to any entity in this place.
Yep. Yep. Because the encounters came again when I was at the lowest, right? I was the smallest version of me, and everything was huge. Everything was big. The second that you let it know that it ain't shit, all hell breaks loose. Always. And the more you discuss it, the more you decipher it, the more you break it down of how minuscule it truly is. So you get stuff like this. I mean, I've watched you spit fire, and then a group of individuals basically be done talking to each other and done with lives for weeks at a time.
Oh shoot, he got back on it. Finally let you, dude, right?
Yeah. It didn't
Yeah.
like where I was going. It really didn't, because I had some good questions. And
That's what we were just talking about. I think it's the fact that this subject of its fractured being shows its vulnerability, and it doesn't like its vulnerability to be shown. But that does not just span out to the entity in my field. It's any entity in this place. If they have let the control system infect their being, and you flip that mirror onto them enough, you do it with force and you do it with truth and integrity, you will start to notice that vulnerability in that being, because they know that you're serious. They know that you're not backing down. They know that you're not going to be integrated and you're not going to be manipulated by any narrative. And they start to lose grip and they start to lose ground. And I think it starts to become more real to them that they were never going to be able to operate like this forever. And that's the sweet spot for us, because all this projected power, all the things they can do in the environment are transient. They're nothing. But yeah, go ahead and ask your questions. Let's see how far we can go.
I can't remember them. One of the things I think is worth pointing out, though, is one of the interactions that you were having, where you'll have to refresh me on it. Basically, the part where they said that we don't see it that way.
Oh, that's so that goes to kind of an intimate detail, but I'll share it because y'all know I'm authentic. I don't care to hide any part of my experience or what these entities do, because the most hidden parts of what they do, they rely on it staying hidden. Um, so I will share the entity that's in my field. So I stopped having any type of sexual energy output. That was a choice that I made because I felt the manipulation behind it. I don't think that's something that everybody else has to do. It's something that I chose to do because I wanted to start to choose how that energy flows instead of letting them decide or letting them take it, whatever. But as I started doing that, I started noticing about once a month around the same time in my ovulation period, they would take it from me with force in a dream state where I could not fight back. Um, which in essence that is rape. That is what that is. My field was being raped of sexual energy against my will, and those patterns persisted. So when I had an interaction with this entity, I was, calling it what it was because it wanted to project like I'm more than the bad decisions I made. I was like, so then how do you justify um, actually being a rapist, like raping my field on a routine basis against my will when I've said no many times? Like how do you justify that in yourself? Really flipping that mirror. And it flat out said, I know that you experience it that way, but that's not the way that I see it. I don't see it that way. I see it that your conscious no is not the most important thing to me. Um, and I left it at that. I was like, well, we'll just let it sit there because what I realize about these entities is a lot of them really don't see themselves as predators. They're they believe that what they're doing serves a purpose that is so mysterious that we can't understand it. And then when you deal with the fractured oscillations of these beings, you realize there's multiple different things going on. They have the control systems. Like I've said this before, if you imagine a true essence being that's allowed the control system to infect their being, the control system is like a million tentacles that they've said yes to infect their true self. And over time, that became their entire identity. And so then when you start to break those loops down because they initiate putting those loops and tethers into you, you start experiencing that fractured, split personality. But some of them really believe they have a right to access to your field. They believe that they know better than you, and they do not see themselves as predators, even though that is what they are now. They are predators, they are rapists. But the most baffling realization to me is that they actually don't see it that way. And when you project that, like, this is what you are, regardless of if there's anything real left, this is what you are now, they they almost start to break down more with that. So
Well, it makes a lot in this reality makes sense when you realize that it is in fact being run by an intelligence that is that convoluted in itself. It's completely ignorant of what it actually is. Completely ignorant, it, willfully choosing. Ignorant isn't really the right word. It's willfully ignoring. It's intentionally hiding itself from the action that it's doing. It's almost like it's doing it while simultaneously looking away from what it's doing, putting a veil over what it's doing for even itself, and saying, "Well, this is for the greater good." But it's not. The greater good to it is just the greater good to these intelligences is what's good for them. That's the greater good. That's the only good for them is what's good for them. Because what's good for them is not good for us, and what's good for all is not good for them. Having recognition of what they're truly doing, what they are, is not good for them. And anything that needs to hide what it really is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And this entire realm reflects exactly that. The convoluted. That's why everything's so asinine and ridiculous, because they really think there's continuity and that it makes sense, all these things going on the world stage. But you step back and you really look at it, it's a complete fucking idiocracy. It's the most inefficient way to run on every level, from the societal to the construct itself. None of it makes actual sense. If you could step back and look at the entire thing as a whole, it doesn't. It's not the most efficient way for. Let's just take it to a societal level where most people can see. It's obvious there, but then you scale that out, and it's the same. It's all the same. It's all running on the same patterns and formulas, the same structure of stealing, theft. Theft is the basis of this reality.
James, are you hearing that in his? Is that just
Yeah,
me?
he
It's
sounds like a
really
robot.
bad. It's like
Really
Fucking
bad.
typical, dude. Typical.
it's
Really
like
bad.
terrible static anytime you say anything.
You sound like a robot.
That's the fucking mockery of this place, dude. It's the mockery.
On full display.
Right, and you know what? This topic right here is obviously a threat, and it's important. You know, this topic that we're discussing, these topics that we've discussed are really important, and you can see the interference. Whereas some people might say it's a coincidence, it's, you know, those that are tuned in deeper know that it's not. This is not a coincidence that we've had so many issues already in 35 minutes. Which kind of tells you that this information is not something they want more people to touch on. So for anybody listening, um, you know, take
Do I
that
still
if you want.
sound like a robot?
Yeah, it's bad.
God damn it. Well, I don't know. I mean, you guys go ahead. I'll just be quiet.
You could try to, I don't know, you could try to re-enter and see if that works. Because the first time you were on here, it wasn't doing that.
Did I leave and come back? Did that work out?
No, you didn't leave yet.
Fuck's sake. That's funny. Now it won't let me leave the room. That's before it kicked me out. Now it won't let me leave because it has me right where it wants me in the technological sense. Fuck this place. Yeah, it's not a topic I figured they would want discussed, which is why I wanted to do it. Can you guys at least understand what I'm saying, even though it's going through some kind of filter?
Oh, I mean, I can hear you. It's just loud. Like the static is loud.
Did that help
The
at all?
most absurd, stupid shit ever.
Did that help at all?
No.
Oh,
Nope.
no.
Keep talking. I still heard it, but not as much, maybe.
I turned my mic down a lot. Like it's
Oh,
low.
no. You're still robot boy.
God damn.
I said, integrate with us, please.
No, they said let's get some viewers off of here so they don't fucking hear some of our weak points.
Can you not exit out of the app and then re-enter on the link? Like you can't just
No,
like
I closed that. I
Because
already
you're,
closed that.
wow.
Only thing I can do now is end the stream, or you guys can keep going, or whatever.
ain't that just the fucking way?
It's on par. It's on par.
For sure. Oh man, we
I
were
mean,
on a roll
regardless, this
too.
is a great example of speaking facts and sharing true awareness. That this is the perfect example of what happens. Can always be shit like this.
And you know where the interference started for me? The dog wanted out. There was an interruption in the environment. So the environment interrupted, and then that's when I got kicked out. So it was all a bunch of shit happening at once.
Yep. Mine started weird. I've never been able to see the amount of people. It just shows the clock. And then it said some admin thing at the beginning.
You know, I should have
I changed it.
expected interference because I had this tense frustration at the start of this live that wasn't there when we were just messaging on the app. Like I started feeling that frustration, and usually that's my red flag that something's Tom's listening.
That's okay. You know what? We'll end up just doing this again, guys. That's okay.
Well, the first live I've been on in a long time.
It's funny because it was doing it to you first, James. It was doing yours first, like the robot voice stuff and the feedback, and it just shifted to me. Makes more sense. Should have just started with the host, you fucking idiot.
Right. What the fuck? The dumbest shit ever. Man. But it
That's what.
works. Again, it diverted. Even if you were to get it back, it diverted. We've diverted so far, put time in between where the heat started and where it was going.
Yep. It didn't want this one to go to completion at all.
Nope.
I wonder before we go, Christina and James too, if you got some insights on it, if you guys want to talk about a little bit of the split personalities, the going back and forth a little more. One minute it's threatening you, the next minute it's begging for forgiveness.
Yeah, for me, that was something that has really been a newer development, something that was recently, um, I don't know, maybe a month or a little less than that. But that was with persistence. That didn't just happen on its own. That was extreme energy work. That was persistence. That was um, taking it as far as I could take it. And I will still continue to do that. But with the split personality, another thing that I've noticed is it can actually narrate all the things that you've noticed about it, that it's controlling, that it knows that it can't continue. It will narrate all the fucked up shit about itself, but being able to spit facts about what it is now and actually taking that internally and changing the behavior, I've realized are two different things. Somebody can say, "Hey, these are the 50 things wrong with me," and it not change a single thing about themselves. And that's just been really apparent to me. It can semi acknowledge um, all of the inversions in itself without doing a single thing to actually correct that, which has been another interesting part of this to me.
What do you think correcting would do? Would it leave it vulnerable?
Well, I mean, if there's any truth in it, it does align with my knowings. It's actually during interactions told me that it knows what it has to do to correct it, but it doesn't know if it can actually survive that. Like, they aren't even sure how much of the real essence is left. And so to rip out the control structure when it's allowed the control structure to be the majority of its identity, it doesn't know if it can act like to it. Getting rid of a control structure it's had for possibly thousands of years, for one, is it's fearful of that. That'd be like someone here that is a true essence being, and your option was to get rid of your entire identity. This control structure has become its entire identity. And I think there's some truth in that because this was a knowing I had before that interaction, which was, I don't think it just fears annihilation, like, oh, we're going to go fight it with swords and kill it. I think the thing that the majority of what we're going to do is rip out its control structure. We're going to burn the false away from these entities, and whatever is left is what's left. And what's left is what's going to have to face what it's done. So it has a two-part thing, which is ripping out the control structure and then having to face everything it's done with whatever's left. And they don't know what's left. So I think it truly is fearful of that, even though it doesn't want to admit that vulnerability.
You know, I kind of like that it fucked up my audio because that means that everybody that was just here to be entertained might not be entertained. Maybe they'll leave.
So, touching on when you initially said it about the split personality, instantly I thought about like how vacation just was for me, where it was 2 days of everyone in harmony and just it was a good time for 2 days, too good, and I knew it was too good. Didn't know how that was going to end and how that was going to show itself. Then it was 2 days of watching individuals flip around me, because that's what it has mostly in my situation. I've got a family, and there's always like I'm not alone. It's a hell of a damn script to be on, is never being alone except in a truck. So, then it was 2 days of absolute hell, Monday and Tuesday, and to the point like, and I hadn't said shit about this, but I got accused by one of the family members basically of being a pedo. So, towards my 13-year-old stepdaughter. So that was on Tuesday. Monday was the park day. It was just any and everything externally in my way, not necessarily me, but in my way was hot and cold. 1 minute, things are great. Next minute, all hell's breaking loose through them. So for me, split personality, it's always, and the way I see it too, the break you down to build you up has always been something I've seen play out for me. Hell, I had a little lick of $2,000 earlier this year, and within hours I had lost my bank account. So for me, when you said it, that's instantly where I went to, is this entire fucking place does that shit for me. And it's all environmentally now. I know and I'm aware I don't have to do what I was doing last year, which was losing my fucking mind and trying to go out and battle these things and thinking that this is how it was going to be won. And the more that I've understood what power I am, I have, and what retribution I know I'm bringing with me, it's changed this place exponentially, except the people around me.
Yeah, I think they'll play out the scripts to the bitter end.
And that's why when your question of how would correcting the error look, I don't even think, I don't know that that's even an option for them on an individual level. I think they would have to basically relinquish or let go of anything that has to do with their system, this system, and then also really face the individuals that they've harmed. And, it would have to be real and authentic. And I don't know if that's a potential for them anymore. I think correcting the error is not, I get the sense that it's like it's too far gone. Like any entity in here that wanted to correct their behavior, correct the inversion, the things that they've done, I think their chance for that is kind of long gone. Um, it's too deeply embedded. So I don't know that there is a good answer for how would you correct the error. I don't, I think if they really wanted that, they could have chose that well before now. They knew what they were doing, and they actually have the blueprint to do something different. So there's really no excuse at this point for it to continue. But another thing that I've noticed with this split personality is in moments where it's more quiet, the interference is lower, it's seemingly backed off. it will also project to me like, look, I backed off. See, I could go harder on you. I backed off a little bit. Like it wants credit for not jabbing the knife in as deep. It's wild. You can just tell like it's like you're literally dealing with entities that are so far into the illusion that like they can't even grasp the reality of what's actually occurring. Like they actually want credit for backing off, but there's no real remorse for what's already been done.
Do I still sound like a robot?
Oh yeah.
God damn. Well, maybe people won't be entertained, you know? Maybe it's the double-edged sword it always uses, right? It's going to get everybody away that's just here for entertainment. And the ones that are here for the good shit, they'll stick around regardless of the imposed technical difficulties. I know I had a bunch of things I want to talk about, but I'm not going to do it with the mockery of the robot voice that they've got on me right now. If you guys want to keep going, feel free. I'm gonna sit it out, I guess.
No, I gotta be up in like 6 hours. So
Feel it.
appreciate
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate your robot voice too. Chris, I'm blaming it on Christina because every time she talks, this place loses its fucking mind. So I can't
I blame
fucking
it on
handle
Sky
her.
Daddy.
Yeah.
I blame it on Pip Pop.
I'll talk with you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.
Christina, you want to make fun of? Wait, since I haven't been able to hear the robot voice, can you give me a description of what it sounds like? I want to do some kind of like I want to do something with it. You know?
To me, your voice doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like it's when you talk, there's this extra static, like this extra, like almost like radio static that goes along with your voice. I don't know. It's really hard to explain. If you want, we could just restart the live, but they've really broken apart our continuity in this conversation. It's really pissing me off.
Yeah, I think it'd be better just to do another live in a couple days. But man, I was hoping it did sound like a robot because I was gonna do like a fake cameo of the Pip Pop and Sky Daddy and the entities. You know, I was gonna pretend to be them for a little bit, gaslight
Aw,
some. Yeah,
all flip flop.
little Pip Pop, Flip Flop up there watching down on us. You are all beneath me. You suffer for my amusement. I am Pip Pop, your Sky Daddy.
No, that still works though.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling it, dude. I'm pissed off. I'm tired. I'm tired of fucking hurting all the time, dude. This place is non-stop fucking pain and non-stop gaslighting and blaming the abused for their abuse. It's fucked up place, dude. But now I realize, like, from this conversation on, I realize, like, they're just that convoluted that they don't even see anything wrong with it. So I'm not going to see anything wrong with facing them, even if that means them being annihilated. Whatever's attached to them, you know, doesn't matter. Whatever's real will still be after this. I think there's gonna. You talked earlier. We've talked about it a couple times now. how once this is done, I think there's going to be a lot of mixed feelings about some of the beings that we knew before this that sat idle and just allowed, right? One of the biggest programs of this fucking place, just allowance. But I think there's also going to be grief around some of the things that we thought were real that weren't, like individuals and the way they deeply embedded connections that were not with anything real, but based on something real. Goddamn, fucking evil, dude. Evil genius. I don't know,
Yeah, I have no doubt I'm going to have some type of anger or at least disappointment with entities external to this, because I have a sense there are entities that kind of sat around or hovered around the structure that had the power to do more, that hesitated to do so. And that to me, it's like, if you have the power, or maybe even that was your role to oversee this realm externally, I don't know. Maybe there are beings that that's their role, is to kind of oversee this whole thing. But if you hesitated and knew what was going on in here, you're almost no different than the entities in here doing it. To me, as harsh as that sounds, there's really no difference. You're complicit. You're not the one enacting the harm, but you're the one sitting there and watching it and not doing anything. So what does that make you? What are you if you have all the power in the world to stop giving allowance to this place and the entities, and you just sit there and let it happen? So that's not something I would do, but it's clearly something other entities have done. And so it's like, I've said this before on a live, I don't romanticize leaving this place. I have a feeling I'm going to be quite filled with rage at some of the entities external to this place that sat and did nothing. Nothing. So yeah, I don't have the idea it's going to be some beautiful pleroma. I think it's maybe chaotic in a different way than it is here, but I have a feeling it's chaotic external to this place as well. Different ideas about what should be done with this place, different, disagreements. Whereas, the coherent ones in here, like, the answer's fucking obvious. The answer's obvious. This whole place needs to go, and every entity needs to be quarantined and dealt with. So, granted, I can't see the structure. I don't know all the ins and outs and complexities, but the fact that it's even existed for this long tells me that some beings stayed idle for way too long. This never should have gotten to this point. Too much allowance was given to these entities in here, and it never should have lasted this long. The mess that we're in is not just because of the entities in here. I think it was negligence on a larger scale. And that's the part of the grief and the anger I feel is going to expand well past just the entities in here. I think it was negligence on a bigger scale.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a loss of respect for a lot of beings that we may have even cherished before this. You know? And going through this, man, any of those entities ever try and tell me what to fucking do, man, I may just become a fucking devourer. I may fucking stare them down to the abyss. Because, yeah, this shit should not have gone on for this long. It's repulsive. It's despicable and it's fucking disgusting. That's probably why we're here, you know? It's like, what other explanation could there be? Oh, there's a few that actually will stand on their laurels, but not many. I guess most of the beings from eternity are fucking cowards, man. That's pretty pathetic.
Right. And it's sad as fuck to me that that's the reality that I think most people miss is like, we aren't the only beings in existence. Whoever exists in this containment system, there are more beings out there, whatever you want to call out there. There are more beings, and I think there are beings that had a level of cowardice or hesitation. Maybe they didn't want to become like the entities in here. Whatever their justification was, again, justification is justification. The entities in here justify their actions. So my question is going to be, if we think that the entities in here deserve consequences, what are going to be the wider scale consequences? If you had a role in overseeing this place and you let it go on this long, why are you less deserving of consequences? I just think it's going to span out way farther than what we think it is. Because again, the whole, I've had this insertion of, well, there's a law of no intervention. Well, this place crossed every line in law that it had to have. All the rules of this place are null and void. They're fucking null and void. So if that is true, that there was some law of non-intervention in this containment system, that's not excuse enough. It's not. So, I don't see any reason why the beings external to this place run in any different category than the entities enacting the harm itself. And we'll find out. We'll know that when we know that. But, I make sure to project that very loudly. These beings in here are not the only ones that are going to have to face their own cowardice. Um, if the slow moving hand of allowance for these entities, right? Like, we don't actually know how long this system has been around. I suspect it's been around a while, maybe not as long as they like to make us think it has, but a while, which means that when things started turning the other way, when things started, if it wasn't bad from the start, or at least maybe they covered it up, right? Like, they had to have a plan going forward of like, well, it's got to look benevolent at first. But there was a turning point where it was clear that they were imposing, raping, torturing well past any justification. Why at that point, which was probably a while ago, why at that point was this allowed to continue? Right? Because I understand the whole free will thing, but free will is also null and void when you are imposing on another being's free will. You don't get to do that. Do you
Right,
let the
when their
rapist?
will is,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, when their will is not to be raped and tortured, right? Then you're not. What free will are we worried about imposing on the rapist's free will? Well, I want to have the right to fucking rape them. Like, that's the only free will anybody would be imposing on taking the system down at this point. There is no justification. It's fucking cowardly worms all the way up, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And maybe, I leave it open. Maybe there's a possibility that there is a reason why it had to move slow. I suspect mostly negligence, because the fact that it was able to get to the point that it is now shows me that there were chances before it got this bad to stop this entirely, and it wasn't done. I just don't see any other explanation other than hesitation, cowardice, and negligence. I don't see any reason for it. Right.
There's another option. There's another option. That would be the inability.
Right. That's true. There is, maybe I've explored that option too, that maybe this place is so locked down that it's almost like a trigger failsafe. Like, if someone tries to intervene, it causes some type of, maybe a negative ripple effect. I've explored that option too, but I I don't see it as being a full scale reason at this point. Like, I don't know. Maybe I will come across new information at some point, but
We definitely will. There's going to be lots of new information. We've barely scratched the tip of the iceberg in this realm, and there's already been a lot of information. I think revelations are going to be greater than anyone could imagine.
oh yeah, and I don't think it's going to be some glorious celebration either, and I think that's a false hope projection that a lot of people need to get rid of. Now, yes, I do look forward to existing without manipulation. But that's about as far as it goes for me because I don't romanticize leaving. I do not romanticize leaving this place in a way where I think it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be a lot of information, a lot of knowings that is going to probably be devastating. Um, and I'm not saying, maybe there are beings like us that are external to this place that tried their best to do as much as they could. And maybe there were things that prevented them from doing as much, but I don't know, I feel into it, and I think there are probably a lot of beings that stayed neutral because this didn't affect them directly, so they just didn't think that they had to do anything, and that severely pisses me off. I don't think it's a unified field out there either. I think there are a lot of different beings with a lot of different ideas, just like there are in here.
Well, the
Um,
attempt of the unified field is this place. This place is attempting to create a isolated, unified field, but in a hive-minded fashion. You know,
right.
I think all the ideas about oneness and the unified field, all that shit comes from here. It's a tactic to create integration. It's a way to make beings passive. Like if you really buy into the idea that it's all one thing doing it to itself, then you're pacified. You'll be pacified and on deep, deep levels that you're probably not even aware of. You sure as shit won't take the direct attacks personally. Oh, it's just me doing it to myself, as the separate entity is fucking raping you. It's the
And
perfect formula for them to continue to take advantage of with, no consequence. Look, these idiots think it's them, even though I'm doing it. Yeah, it's fucking sad.
I like the one I've been seeing a lot. When something in another person irritates you or triggers you, it's just a reflection of your own unhealed wounds. That one cracks me up because there might be a small truth to that in some small degree, but I find that to be bullshit. It basically makes you think that anytime you sense something is off, it automatically has to be a problem with you. Well, it's your own unhealed wounds. Well, what if I'm actually just sensing that this person is fucking mostly integrated with the hive mind and that's why they're being irritates me? What if I sense an entity that's pretty much, 100% puppeting that being and that's what irritates me? It's like that new I've been seeing that a lot in my feed. you know Somebody else irritating you is just assigning your own problems, right, because I can't sense something is off and it not be directly my fault. That's real clever.
It's the perfect environment for a predator to fucking hide right in the open.
Right, always blame yourself because it goes back to the split personality. They don't ever want to be exposed directly into truth, right? They always want to hide. If you take the blame, you're really taking a weight off their shoulders. You're doing it. You know what I mean? You're giving them the clean break that they've always wanted by taking all the blame like that.
It reminds me of, there was this show, I can't remember what show it was, maybe somebody out there knows what it is, but there was a show, and one of the episodes was like set in the future where everybody walked around with this like virtual bubble around them, and they were just like You know what I mean? Like, it's like, imagine if your phone had a screen that encapsulated your whole being, and that's all you saw as you walked around the world. And while that was going on, like, I can't remember how it happened, but one person's like virtual bubble, like, they took it down for a second, and they saw that there were all these, like, you know, entities around the people that were like leading them through like the social media and stuff to go to like different rooms so they could eat them and shit like that. And you know, it'd be happening like right next to people, and they wouldn't even see it going on because they're in their virtual bubble. And there's a lot of things here that have made that bubble in a very real way, just not in the exact same way as it's portrayed very bluntly on that show, but it's more subtle and more overt at the same time. It's fucking genius. It's like, you know, that happening to them is their fault. And while the entity that's doing it, you know, is doing it, but it's invisible to those that are under the spell of belief. And that bubble is the belief, you know. The social media bubble in that show is the belief structure that is constructed in this place in order to hide the predators in plain sight. Is my audio still bad? I bet it is.
Oh yeah, it's the same. I mean, I could
Cool.
hear you though, so if anybody is really interested in listening to the information, they'll do it. But you know, this is just part
Right.
of it, dude. This is part of what happens.
Well, I mean, if we were talking about some fucking Matrix bullshit, I'd have no audio interference. I'd have no problem. You know what I mean? If I was pushing the program, there'd be no problem. I'd probably have fucking sponsors.
Yeah, it is. You know, not to give too much credit, it's because clearly their system is crumbling, and they're not going to be able to stand on this forever, and this was never going to last. But the evil genius, as you call it, and the fact that accountability is the one thing they have to avoid. Well, technically, they don't have to, but from their perspective, they have to avoid it because it breaks down every justification, every reason they convince themselves of that they had to do this. And so, if you take accountability for all the shit that they did, I mean, wow, you're not only perpetuating this system, you're delaying the very thing that needs to occur here. Like, you're delaying the end of slavery, which sounds harsh, but it is true. You know, the only way that we start to crumble this place, well, first, the system in general, but these entities that run it, you know, they're making active choices for this system to go this way. They have to take accountability and they have to have consequences for their actions. But that doesn't happen when you willingly take the knife into your being and say it's all your fault. You can take accountability for things. I've taken accountability for things. I can look at things that I've done and know that I allowed this system to program my responses, and I did it in a way where I wasn't aware of it, you know. But there was always a formula. They always knew what they were doing. They knew likely what your responses were going to be in response to certain scripts. So the accountability always goes to the person that knew more. And when you're unaware in the fucking tar pit, you don't know what's going on. You don't have that knowledge. You don't know. So to me, the primary accountability, and really taking true accountability is correcting and changing the trajectory of behavior, which anybody that's aware, you know, you've had to have behavioral changes. It's just a part of this. That's something that we've done that they seemingly cannot do. And that in and of itself is a show of true power. You can wake up to this bullshit and course correct, and they can't do that, but they're supposedly all-knowing and all-powerful, but they dig their heels in like a fucking toddler and refuse to even look at the consequences of their own actions. That's, I mean, wow.
So actually, one of the first things that I noticed about them when I had the first interaction that I was aware of what I was interacting with and what it was, at least on a structural level, I knew it was a program, or yeah, it was a program. What was beneath the program may have been one of these entities, but regardless, I recognized that the one thing it couldn't do, and this was just through being in proximity to it, I recognized that they cannot admit error. It would be, I mean, if you could go back to one of my oldest shows, it would basically, that was like the whole thing. It's talking about how it is the intelligence governing this place is the error that cannot admit its own error. So it has to make you wrong. It's essentially abusing a helpless child and then convincing that child that it's their fault. That's this entire place in a nutshell.
Right, to admit its own error, it's not as simplistic. I think it would be like undoing like starting to pull the thread that disassembles the entire sweater. To admit that error would basically crumble all their justifications, all their reasons, all the energy they put into doing what they've done. It would pull the thread and just rip apart the entire thing. And so I think it's more to not admit it, to not acknowledge it, to not really look at it at a deeper level is part of their survival technique. Um, it's just, it's so obvious to me. Even if on some small level, there's probably the leftover part or shred of what's real of them knows, they've ignored it. Um, and that shit stacks over time, I'm sure. The more you ignore the true self, just like here, you see that in people. The more you ignore the real self, the more you stack it up with bullshit, fake, inauthentic, ingenuine actions and choices. It costs over time. What did that cost their real selves over time? Who knows? To the point where maybe there's nothing real left at all. I don't know. But yeah, it's always easier to blame someone else than look at yourself.
It's amazing how much of the structure is based off of just them. You see them, their choices reflected in everything here, and so many taking on those attributes and becoming integrated, part of the hive mind, part of the control system itself.
I really think people need to start realizing like how pathetic these entities really are. We've talked about this before, even in like Gnosticism. There's still like this deification as if these entities are so powerful and so all knowing, but really they can't do the most basic of tasks because it would rip apart their entire structure. Like, imagine being in that position where you project all this power, you project this fear into somebody else, but the simple act of admitting I was wrong would undo you entirely. Like, imagine that. Imagine how fragile that state of being actually is, and realize that's the state of being of almost every entity in here. That's their state of being. They're in that fragile balance where they have to keep pretending, because to not pretend anymore would basically be annihilation for them. They're not omnipotent, they're not powerful. They have tools in this reality because this is the reality that they govern. But that means almost nothing, really. I mean, this is like their Barbie playhouse. Sure, they can move some pieces in the Barbie playhouse, but that's pretty much meaningless from my perspective.
You keep telling me I lost signal. Am I still here?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
That's funny. Yeah, it didn't want me to talk. I've had so many things that I was going to say over the last 20 minutes, and they're just fucking gone. It does not want me to say some of this shit, which it shows me a lot. It shows me that in a lot of ways I have lost some of my autonomy just through the environment, you know? But yeah, imagine being that powerful that someone that recognizes your error being in your presence would completely undo your existence. They can't even be in the presence of someone that really sees them for what they are, because then they would, through being in their presence, have to see themselves. And that's pretty fucking sad. All around, the whole thing is just sad. It's sad how many they've drug along into becoming like them. The vast majority of those that have entered here have become like the fucking parasites that run it. And to some degree, right? Not entirely. Real pieces do shine through most beings, but it's generally overshadowed by the ways of this place. Can you hear my background?
No, I can't hear the usual.
That's interesting. But it's still static, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Hasn't broken that continuity. Nope.
Good job, hip hop.
Hip hop is doing his level best in a very fragile state of being.
Man, sucks to suck, dude.
Fragile state of being. Gosh dang. Like, that's the thing. Like, when they project fear, it's like, that's so funny to me. Like, that is so funny to me that you'll project the fear, but you won't ever meet me face to face directly where you show me exactly what you are. You always try to project all these different narratives and stories. It's just it's funny, and I don't blame people for having that fear, especially like once you get to this point of awareness, you realize there's a lot of resistance, right? They can kind of fuck up a lot of shit in your environment and your situation, and they will if you're coming to true awareness. And so it almost creates this fear like, oh, what are they going to do next? You're almost like sitting there waiting for the next horrible move they're going to make, and it's like they're really just fucking pathetic, dude. Like, that's really what you're going to do? You're going to sit here and wait for an opportunity just to torture me? Like, how fucking pathetic and weak is that? Holy shit, when you really break it down, you realize how pathetic and weak they are. And I think if more people looked at them exactly like that, like, wow, you are actually sad and pitiful. You are a sad, pitiful example of a being. They would start, I would think that would really start to undo those threads. People really start losing that fear of what these entities are, fear of what they can do to you. Oh, what can they do to me in my script? What can they do to me after I die? Well, not shit if you're sovereign, because they are fucking pathetic, weak predators that have nothing better to do than to sit and watch others and hopefully take advantage of them. That's what they're doing. Like, god damn. Really break down what these entities are, and it's just, I can't think of anything more pathetic than that.
I couldn't. Yeah, give me eternity. I couldn't come up with a more pathetic intelligence than what is governing this place. I couldn't. It's like you've gone above and beyond. I mean, they've committed completely to being cowardly pieces of shit. That is full commitment, you know?
No, I mean, shit. I'll admit the persistence is there. Uh, they have the persistence of being pathetic predators. So they got that going for them. If they would take that persistence and do anything else, oh my gosh, it's like, damn.
No integrity and no courage. And, a lot of people think that they weaponize fear. But I think it's a little more specific. I think they weaponize their own fear. And what you feel is projected fear is theirs entirely. It's like, in reality, beyond all these scripts, none of us actually have any. There's nothing out there to fucking judge us and tell us, oh, you did good, you did bad. I'm gonna place you here. I'm gonna place you in fucking Hufflepuff or Slytherin. I'm gonna put you in your fucking place. Like, no, it doesn't. That's not how it works. But like, that is how it works for them. That is gonna be how it works for them because we're gonna just observe them for what they are. And it's not like it is a judgment, but it's a judgment based on objectivity. It's not a judgment based on our personal beliefs. It's just a direct observation of, oh, here's a fucking error that can't correct itself, and then recognizing that alone, being in proximity to them, and recognizing in full awareness the depth of the error, the specifics of the error, being aware of the specific error is what's going to unravel their fucking existence. Then you can start to see where that fear of being judged and condemned for eternity actually comes from. It is a real fear. It's based on a real thing, but it's not anything to do with us in terms of like we're the ones being judged. No, we are the ones observing and making a judgment, just like you make a judgment not to put your bare foot in a fucking campfire. It's just, because objectively it would be bad. It's like these entities are objectively a fucking error. It's not an opinion. They are an error. Their existence is by default incorrect in the way that they are performing any and all interactions with others. Which means by default they have forfeit their right to interact with others. And if their existence and persistence to exist is dependent on their interactions with others and how much they can take, then by default that would mean that they would be condemned to the cessation of existence, to cease being, because they forfeit the right to have interactions with others through the intentional architecture of this structure.
Right, but they put themselves in that position. Most of us can probably know about ourselves. We didn't put ourselves in a position to lord over others. They did. They put themselves in a place to be judged objectively. They put themselves in this authoritarian role where they think they knew better than everybody else. They knew better than us. They put themselves in the spotlight, but then tried to put layers up to avoid that spotlight. You can't do that. You can't, have both. You can't simultaneously say, yes, I lord over you, I'm the authority, while hiding from the fucking spotlight. It's a contradiction. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But you know what I mean? Like, how the fuck are you going to do that? You're going to project that you know better enough to impose on somebody else's field, nudge their entire experience in this existence, but then hide at exposure? What the fuck? Make that shit make sense. You know, they put themselves in that position. You know, we're watching the watchers. They put themselves right there as the authority, but then didn't want the responsibility that came with that, which is if you fuck up, you're going to be noticed and people are going to start imposing that judgment onto you. Like that's it. You just can't fucking have both, dude. You can't hide while also trying to lord over others. That's the most fucking idiotic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I see a lot of that with them. They always seem to one up themselves on idiotic things that they thought made sense, or lied to themselves and said, well, you know, if this is going to work, we got to make this make sense. We got to make a whole lot of shit make sense that doesn't make any sense, but we got to believe it, guys. I mean, I can't imagine that board meeting when coming up with this place. All right, none of this is legitimate. It's all illegitimate. But we got to convince everyone there that this is the way things are, even though this is all a lie. It's all made up. There's no truth here. The entire structure is based on a lie. But we got to convince them all it's the truth, including ourselves, by the way. Think we can do it, guys? Resounding applause. Like, how many idiots were in that room? All of them? God damn. It's just every day I see something that's like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I catch myself wondering, like, how do people believe this? Like, how do people believe that this is legitimate in any way? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna build fucking 40 data centers in your state and you're gonna pay for it. Like, people just go on, and that's just one of every fucking countless billions of examples of shit that doesn't make sense. And then you see the reflection of them in the ignorance of the things that are having effects in the environment and the experience.
Well, but then you also have a lot of people, millions, if not billions, propping up that illusion, especially in the community of people that think, "Oh, the suffering was to get me to a place." You know, they're giving allowance to these entities that say the suffering was for my benefit. The suffering is the only way I could have been forged in fire. Like you really have these people that, you know, they are literally helping these entities prop up this entire system. They're helping with the illusion. It's wild, you know, like you have people that will take the blame, say that the suffering was for their benefit, say that they needed to learn those lessons. You know, I needed to have the shit beat out of me from birth on to learn the lessons that I needed to learn. You know, they're pretty much one with the illusion and the parasites. They're, you know, they're the giving hand to these parasites to continue this.
Oh, and they're everywhere. And the irony is like, if this were allowed to go on, then they would just die, get memory wiped, and come back and do it again and integrate deeper. You know, and then they'd say the same shit, but with their chests even fucking bigger and more proud. Like, oh yeah, I needed to suffer so I could learn these things that they don't even know they've already gone through that same script fucking 40 other times. Like, oh yeah, you sure learned a lot. Prepare to forget it all and do it again. Oh shit. I mean, that's the craziest part is that if everyone, if every being that's been in this could step back and see all that even just they've been through, right? Like, oh, what's everything that I've been through, not just in this life, but in every life? Let's look at all of it. And they see the recursive loops over and over, the same shit, the same script, the same trauma, over and over and over. It would be undeniable. They'd be like, well, what the fuck did I learn from that? Nothing. I was just being abused. Like, you don't You're not abused, and then that's some beautiful life lesson. You may be able to forge yourself through circumstances like that, but no one should have to be forced to do that if they don't want to.
Well, the credit needs to be given where it's due. If you make it through those horrible experiences with any amount of your coherence and your real self intact, that's only a credit that's owed to you. Nobody else in this place is owed that credit. I had something else I was going to say, and then it was going to be, it was fucking wiped. Shit. Felt like it was important too. Um, Damn. Well, there it went.
I've had a lot of that. I've had an abnormal amount of that tonight, all starting around the when the audio interference started. Tells me that we struck a nerve, and I think we should do it again sometime.
Well, if more people started stripping away these entities, every form of them, every form of entity that is in this place, if they started stripping the credibility away from them, this would go a lot faster, I feel. This place is propped up by illusion. They're propping themselves up on illusion. If more people would really start to burn through that shit and see how pathetic and cowardly they are, see how asinine their thought process and their methodology really is. Yeah, this shit would go a lot faster. And it's wild to me that even in some of those offset communities where like they know like the religion, the god of this, all that shit's fake. And they say, oh well, these watchers or these entities, they did this script for me for my better good. How do you not sit there and wonder, well, if there's an entity that says that I need to go through this shit for my betterment, why haven't they done it? You know what I mean? Like the contradictions are everywhere. Like, well, why, if I needed so much self-reflection, then why didn't they need it? What's so perfect and good about them to where they didn't need any type of like lesson or learning or self-reflecting on what they could improve or do better? It's like, goddamn, dude. It's still a form of another being is more all-knowing and powerful than you are. But I think also too, knowing, going to this point where everything is a manipulation, none of it actually meant anything. That strips away any false hope. It's a hopeless, kind of miserable spot to be in. There's a lot of discomfort that comes from realizing, like, wow, like all that shit, because people want to place meaning on their suffering and say, like, it was to elevate me, it was to get me to ascend. If you were to say, wow, no, none of that had meaning other than to try to enslave and imprison me, a lot of people don't want to deal with what that implicates for this reality, what they are, what they went through. It strips away too much, and a lot of people have to be propped up on that comfort and false hope to exist in this place. To be rid of any hope of what this place is annihilation to some beings, I think.
I mean, how hard has it been for us, Like, how difficult has this been for you?
Oh, that there's no words. There are no words to explain how horrendous this has really been for me. No words. Because not only did I have to go through extreme torture and suffering and trauma in this life, there's a whole separate trauma that came with waking up. And I don't blame people for not being able to go through that. I really don't. It's not fair or right or just that anybody has to live a life of torture and then wake up and go through the torture of like everything losing meaning almost overnight. That fucking sucks. To lose interest in all the things that you used to like to do, and to have to drop people that you realize were manipulating you and all those things, you lose everything. You lose everything external, I should say. You don't lose yourself. you gain coherence, you gain more of yourself back, but externally, yeah, in this environment, you lose just about everything if you are really dedicated to this. And it's devastating. And I just don't think a large amount of people can do it. Only a rare few are really able to take this all the fucking way.
Would you say that it's extreme, excruciating pain pretty much all the time? Would that define awareness in this place?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say that I've come to a more radical acceptance of this, but it doesn't strip the pain away. And I think that's another layer of this place. They bank on you caving at some point because this becomes too hard. And again, I do not blame people for that. It is so hard. I would not wish this on anybody. I wouldn't. It
I would. I'd wish it on the ones that fucking perpetrated it. Go through your own
Right.
scripts,
I'm
motherfucker.
just saying, right. I'm just saying for like normal, everyday people, no, I would not wish this level of suffering. The knowing does come with suffering just by design. And again, that goes to the intricate trap of this place. These bodies weren't meant to hold expanded awareness. The life script, I mean, a lot of people, when you go down this road, you realize how difficult it is to work, how difficult it is to try to adapt and be a part of society when you realize how scripted and false this entire reality is. Like, no, I wouldn't wish that on normal people. But I think it is the only way to get this done is if more people do it, to get it done faster, I should say. Yeah, excruciating pain. But eventually you get to a point of like radical acceptance where you can almost laugh at just about anything they try to do to you, any threats they make to you, any fear insertions, any second guessing, any doubt, reminders. They've been doing that heavy for me, sending me dreams and reminders of horrible things that I went through in the past. And eventually you get to a point where none of it touches you. And that's the sweet spot. I wouldn't say I'm 100% there, but I'm getting close to the point where nothing that they do to me touches the actual me. So, there are, I don't know, there are pieces of it that become, you adapt to it, I would say. You adapt to the awareness. It just doesn't make the pain and agony go away.
When you can recognize what death is and laugh in its face authentically for all that it is, death will flee you. It will flee from you. That's fucking true right there. It's true, because death's just part of this thing. Death is a tool used by predatory intelligence to get us off balance and take advantage. And when you can see it all the way through, it will flee from you. Oh, it'll say, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready for you yet. It used to be, are you ready for me? Death would say, ooh, I'm going to get you. And now it's like, well, where are you? Let's play. Doesn't want to come over and play anymore. He used to always try to fucking scare me. Now he's nowhere to be done. Pick up his phone and text back. He's got me blocked on everything.
Damn.
Yep.
Took
It
away
did
those
do be that way.
fucking apartment keys. Let you in no
Yeah.
more. God damn.
Mm. No, it didn't take. Death didn't take my apartment key. Death left the key. Left their key and fucking dipped.
They dipped. Yep. Fuck. God damn. Didn't even pay the last month of rent.
Fucking scam.
Scrub. God damn.
I lost some time. It was like I looked at the clock, and it was like 5 minutes till midnight, and then I looked at the clock again. It was like 10 after 1. Lost about 15 minutes. Just gone. Perfect for stir fries. Well, I feel pretty satisfied. I feel like I could be more satisfied if we actually would have gotten to maintain the stream of awareness as it was in the beginning before we started doing the show. There was a lot of interference.
Yeah, it was heavier tonight than it's been on the last couple lives for sure. The
I'm
topics
sure it
were
was the
not,
topic.
yeah, it was not its favorite.
That's what I like. That's why I think we'll do another show with a similar focus. But I don't think it'll be for a couple of days.
Well, you know what? That'll give me time to make some notes about what I noticed. So I can kind of give a real time update because some of these oscillations, the split personality or fractured personality, as I've been calling it, sometimes it'll be back to back. Sometimes it'll change from hour to hour. Sometimes they'll stay in the same mode for a whole day. It really just depends. Um, but I'll take some time to actually make notes on some of the interactions, some of the insertions to show like more in detail and in depth what I mean by the split personality.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. Be a good focus talk. I think, yeah, let's plan on doing that. Maybe Sunday or Monday.
That sounds good.
Whichever one works for you. I mean, see how you're feeling. Play it by ear. But I had an idea for a show. I think it'd be one of the greatest triumphs of mockery towards the parasitic intelligence that I could come up with. It fucking. I get so excited thinking about ways that I can just do things that piss them off. So you know how like a bunch of people do like they'll do like a show, but they'll be like reviewing other people's shows. You know, they'll like do a review on somebody else's channel or a show on somebody's channel or something. They'll talk about
Mhm.
it. I think it would be cool to do that, but with some of my own old shows. I've never, to this day, I've never posted a show and gone back and watched it ever, not one time. So it'd almost be like watching some of them, you know, most of them, like the older ones, it'd be like watching it for the first time because it is for me. And I don't go back and review them; I just post them. So it'd be interesting to go and see if I could see some bullshit I was on, and then call it out, all in the spirit of doing something that the self-proclaimed gods can't do, which is correcting my own errors.
Holy shit, dude, that's clever as fuck. You've never
Right?
mentioned that to me before, but damn. Okay.
Right? Each time I do it, I'd be like, look, I can do something they can't do. Here's where I was wrong. Look at that. That's some bullshit. That's a program. I don't know if I'll find it or not. I'm curious though. It'd be worth doing. It'd be worth figuring out. I need to figure out how to do the thing the thing where you like play something. I guess I would screen share maybe. Maybe I would just screen share and then like watch it and then pause it and then talk about it. Maybe it's that fucking simple. I've just overcomplicated it, thinking I need some new app or something.
Damn, dude, that's a stellar idea.
Right? Just came to me while I was sitting here. I was like, what have I forgotten? All the things that I've forgotten that we want to talk about tonight, I couldn't think of any of them, but that came to me. I was like, yeah, that's a banger. But like, for me, it's just at this point, the show is for me to do what I know that they don't want me to do, talk about what they don't want me to talk about, and basically make a mockery of those that have made a mockery of us. Because I think when we make a mockery of them, it's more effective at dismantling their structure versus they just do it to what feel better about their shitty fucking error. Steal energy? Oh wow. I don't have that in fucking spades.
Right, but our mockery comes with like we're literally breaking down the contradictions that they hide behind when we're mocking them because we're mocking real
Right.
things that we've objectively. Whereas when they use our life as a mockery, they're not doing it to get anywhere. They're not doing it to gain momentum. So
No,
it's
it's
a
pride.
totally right. It's like a totally different form when we mock them because we're not just doing it to be cruel. We're just we're mocking the very illusion that they have to hold up to survive. You know, but literally, like they have to survive in this authority, all-knowing position, and it's very clear that they're not that way at all. Like they can't do basic fucking things. And honestly, going back over your video, I think would do more than one thing. I think it would mock what they can't do, but it also shows integrity of like you can evolve past even something that you thought a year ago. We don't have to hold on to the same thing because we are evolving. They're not evolving at all. That would literally be shoving in their face the fact that we are capable of evolving past things and they're not. You know what I mean? Like we don't stay in one place, we don't stay stagnant. If an idea doesn't fit now that did a year ago, that's okay. We're not going to sit and beat ourselves up over the fact that we bought some bullshit narrative or bullshit script. We are acknowledging the fact that we are still able to burn through them. That's big to me. That's a really big deal.
I think that'd be phenomenal. I wonder how many technical difficulties I'll get on those shows. Uh, well, I know you said you have to get up kind of early. Or you said you wanted to get up early, or you have to get up early?
I gotta try. So yeah, I better hop on off of here in a little bit because I gotta try to go to sleep. But I gotta do my nightly talking shit before I go to sleep. That's just standard now. It's become its own ritual, except it's authentic and not a ritual. It's just what I tend to lean
Yeah.
towards doing, you know.
I like to ask them general questions, like what fake and pathetic shit are you gonna try to do in the dream state tonight? You know? Ooh, what are you gonna do to me that I'm not aware of? Ooh, fucking losers. Do it to my face. You won't. You won't. You won't. And every time I gain awareness in a dream, you know what they do? They kick me out. That's what another thing I think about dreams is like, I think the parts of the dreams we remember is when we start coming to awareness, and that's when they kick us out. And that's why we only remember like the ends of dreams, because before that, if we're not aware of what's going on, like they'll let that shit ride out all night. But as soon as you start becoming aware of what's going on, like now get them out of here. We can no longer inject the fucking narrative. I don't know. I haven't had a lot of dreams that I remember lately. Um, yeah, but I still wake up feeling like every once in a while, it's not nearly consistent as it used to be, but every once in a while I wake up feeling like they really did kind of implant some narrative, and I can pretty much call it out and pull it out within the first few minutes of waking up, or I should say, coming back into the this bandwidth. But yeah, try to remind me if I forget. That's a good idea for a show, to review some older episodes.
Yeah, no, dude, that's a banger idea. Yeah, I'm gonna hop off here. Good luck tomorrow. Hope all goes, you know,
Not horrible.
well,
That's the best
right.
thing to hope for here.
I mean, honestly, yeah, the bar is
God,
pretty low at this
I hope
point.
tomorrow isn't as horrible as it could be.
Right? God damn. Wow. How low the standards really are. Shit.
You know, if tomorrow's not horrible, then that's great.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll do the closing statements. You know, if you want to be a guest on the show, just send me a bunch of fucking emails. Just like say hey in like 20 emails or something. Just like literally just type hey. Try to get my attention if you really want to be on the show. Like, you know, you're gonna have to really kind of push me to do it, because I have not been motivated to have new guests on the show, to really even hardly do shows. I just realized the futility, for the most part, of putting effort into outreach. I think the ones that really get it are already solid. Don't really need to be here. Doesn't really fucking matter. You're gonna have the effect that you were gonna have before you met me. So, but if you really want to be on the show, you send me a bunch of emails. Don't take it personal if I don't open them for a while. I just have not been very social the last, I don't know, couple months. It's been very interactive lately with pushing back, and it takes a lot of my time. It takes a lot of my energy and focus to make sure that it knows that I'm not in the place that it wants me in ever. It's like it forgets every day. Like it's the one getting fucking memory wiped, thinking that it's gonna subdue me, subdue any of us at this point that are in awareness. Like, nah, it's fucking laughable, but it doesn't stop it from trying. Actually, you know what it kind of does? When you laugh at it, it does seem to back off. But you have to be laughing at it. You can't just be laughing. Like, if you're laughing directly at what you're recognizing, there's an effect there. But the laughing even has to be intentional to a degree.
Oh, yeah, you got to be sure of that shit when you mock them, because before I had second, you know, I don't know, a while ago, but every once in a while it would pipe back with like, you're not that funny, or like, you know, you're just annoying. I'm like, that's great. If I'm annoying to you, then I've really done at least probably 50% of my true essence intent. Like, if I'm annoying you, if I'm doing enough to annoy you, oh yeah, that's great.
Have they ever told you that you're hurting them?
No,
Huh.
no.
Stop
I've
hurting me.
Right, like I've picked up the symptoms of the fact that being in my field is hurting them, due to the oscillations, the desperation, the hesitation, all those things. Will it ever admit that? Nah, it's never going to admit that.
I think
Every
that'll be a
once in a
flinch
while, it's
point.
admitted that it's degraded, but it's never given me that credit for being degraded.
I think that'll be a flinch point for a lot of beings. When you're really facing it, and if it says that to someone, I think a lot of beings will flinch. If it says "stop, you're hurting me," when you're making it look at itself, I mean, I'm not gonna fucking stop. I'm gonna make it look at itself and up into whatever outcome that leads to. But I could see a lot of beings, you know, flinching, feeling bad, like, oh, I'm hurting something. Like, yeah, you're hurting the thing that's hurt absolutely everyone here. Don't feel that fucking bad about it. And really, you're not hurting them. They've hurt themselves by doing this.
Mm-hmm. It's precisely it. The beings that were hurt in the crossfire did not choose this, whereas they chose every aspect of this, and they could have chose differently. That's the entire difference. They didn't have to do this. They put themselves in the spotlight to be hurt eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I think I said
the
all the.
inevitability. It's the inevitability of their own choices. And they want to blame you for that. But really, if anything, the irony, god damn the fucking irony. It's like the beings that are aware, that are really going to make the entities that run this face themselves, that is the real karma. There's no other karma here other than that. That's the only karma here, is them facing themselves and taking accountability, whether they do it on their own, which they can't, they won't. But when they're forced to take accountability by being in the field of someone that's observing them objectively for what they are and the choices that they've made, that's karma. That's the only karma. By definition of what karma is, everything else is a fucking scam. It's them hurting us and blaming us. That's narcissistic abuse. That's all that this reality is as a whole. Every part of it is narcissistic abuse. But when you make them look at themselves and that disintegrates their fucking existence, that's, you can choose to be that being or not, maybe. I don't know. Do you think we're even choosing to do this, or is this just who the fuck we are? We'll find out. Was it always going to be us that did it, or I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. Whatever it is, whether I was always going to be one of the ones that actually created reconciliation or not in this realm, I'm not going to feel bad about it because I didn't choose for them. I didn't say, hey, you got to go and be a fucking miserable parasite and torture a bunch of innocent beings that don't know what's going on and then blame them. I didn't do that. And if I did do that and I find that I did that, I'll fucking destroy myself. But I don't think I'll find that out. And if I did find something like that out, I'd question it very deeply. I'd make sure that it was 100% verified, that it wasn't a projection. Because most of the shit here, pretty much everything, society itself is structured around the error projecting itself into a limited bandwidth that others have adapted to and integrated with. Adaptation's not always good. If you adapt with integration as the facilitator of adaptation, and this is the environment you've done that in, it's not good. Because it, by default, takes away autonomy. You no longer are an individual when you adapt and integrate in this realm. But there is other forms of adaptation you can do here where you're not integrating with it and you are maintaining your individuality. You're not becoming the image of parasitic intelligence. The instrument of evil. But you'll never be rewarded for that in a realm that is based on an error. You're only rewarded for becoming part of the error. One other thing I want to talk about that I didn't get to talk about that we had talked about, but I didn't. So I told you the other day that everything felt fucking eerie, like I was in a horror movie. Like what I think that was actually a mask for is I was also simultaneously recognizing energetically and even structurally how small this place really is. It's not very big. Containment is not, this place isn't very big. And I think one of the reasons why that's so difficult to recognize is it's that double-edged sword again. There's a layer of insulation for them, but it's also a layer of insulation for us. Like if a being isn't ready to recognize that they are always being fucking watched and observed by something that's preying on them as a opportunistic predator, you know, that could be damaging to realize that there's many eyes on you and none of them are for your fucking benefit. None of them are rooting for you. That could be pretty fracturing for someone's psyche if they're not very, very strong in themselves. But I think that the whole overlay of this like becoming like a fucking horror movie and some of the things I was experiencing and seeing and feeling and the ideas being projected like through the dream state and all that, I think that was partially recognition of the direct observers of myself and us, many of us. So it was recognizing how close they really are and always watching. But it was also a mask to keep me from going deeper into that, like deeper into wanting to see what is seeing me. But it all started with me just sitting outside and feeling and asking myself, well, how big is this place really? How much is really here? Didn't feel like a lot. Nowhere near the capacity of the imagination. So I think that's one of the things this place uses against us, is our imagination. Imagine, if you will, a vast universe, right? Boom, fucking, your mind has already created more with that thought, that brief moment, than this entire construct actually contains. Shit. It's fucking comedy. So ironic. All the time. So much irony. What's your sense of the scale of this realm?
Mine's not really about the size of it because I think it almost doesn't even have to do with size. I think it's multi-layered. Um,
Or do you think it's really, you would think it's like we're in a vast, expansive fucking universe?
no, I
Are
definitely
we in
think
a tiny field?
it's a blip. Its containment system is a blip. Everything else is perceptual. We could all be, for all we know, we could all be super close in proximity to each other, but the perception of the field has been expanded. We don't know. We don't know how far away we really are from each other. Could be nothing at all. Could be, I don't know. I think it's really hard to say. Just feels multi-layered to me, but it doesn't feel as big as they project it to be. I think that's a big thing when it comes to like space and galaxies. I think they want to project that we're in this massive, expansive universe and we're really just like in a tiny blip of a sphere in the scale of actual reality.
Yeah, that's the sense that I had. And that was when everything started to get Like literally fog started rolling in. It was like a fucking movie, dude. Like it literally felt like I was in a fucking a B horror movie.
They show that in the show Pantheon, if anybody's watched that. It's really interesting. It's a show about people that upload their consciousness to be digital, and they live in like this realm where they can do anything and create anything, which is likely what I think a secondary containment would be. But at the end of that show, she ends up being the god herself, and she has like all these spheres of different simulations, but the sphere of the simulation is small enough to fit in one of her hands. But there's a whole universe inside that sphere. I'm not saying that's how small this actual, this containment system is. I'm just saying that I don't think it's as vast as they would like some to think that it is.
Yeah, I definitely don't get the sense there's a whole universe here. I mean, I think anybody can test it. Just go outside and look up, day or night. It's a different exposure, but I think, doing it both times is practical to just get a sense of how teeny tiny this place really is compared to what actually is out there. I'm not talking about Earth, obviously. I'm talking about the entirety of the construct. All right, dude. I think I'm ready to jump off. It's almost 2 o'clock.
All right, I'm good to go.
Well, cool. Well, you have anything else you want to say before we go?
Nah, I think I covered it. I think the biggest thing is to, in your energy work, strip these entities of their credibility. They're not big and bad and scary. They are pathetic beings in a fragile state of trying to balance their illusion and not let go of it. They have zero credibility.
There you have it. All right, well, until next time. Thank you for coming on, Christina. Thanks to James, too. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk soon.